Hello everybody, we're back with the YouTube videos. We're gonna go over Go Math Lesson 2.8, which deals with multiplying using mental math. There are many strategies that they're talking about in this lesson. We're gonna talk about three of them. The first one is friendly numbers. And when you have friendly numbers, what they're talking about is two numbers that when you multiply them together, you get one of these numbers. So let's get the number 32. Let's think, which two numbers can I multiply that they will get me 32? So I can think about 8 times 4. So I'm going to multiply 8 times 4 times 50. Again, the friendly numbers will be multiplied to get you one of the numbers. And then, if you remember associative property, we can change the parentheses and we still can get the same product. If you want, we can also use the commutative property and change the order of the numbers. So let's do something like 4 times 8 times 50. So I use the commutative property here. I switch the numbers, 8 times 4, and I put 4 times 8. Now let's use the associative property and let's group 8 times 50 together. This is a 0, in case you're wondering. Now let's multiply. 4 times the parentheses. I have to do the parentheses first. And let's think, what is 8 times 50? Basic facts, 8 times 5 is 40, and I add 1 0. Now it's pretty easy to multiply 4 times 400. Basic facts, 4 times 4 is 16, and I add 2 zeros. So my answer is 1,600. Final product, 1,600. So let's do another exercise. Let's practice. 25 times 8. So I'm not going to break down the 8. I'm going to break down the other number, the 25. I'm going to break it into, of course, 5 times 5. And that I'm going to multiply times 8. So again, I'm going to use the associative property to change the numbers that I'm grouping. So instead of multiplying 5 times 5, I'm going to multiply 5 times 8, and I put the parentheses around them. Now in my next line, I put the 5 times, and let's do the parentheses. What's the product of 5 times 8? Yes, 40. Now, 5 times 40, basic facts. 5 times 4 is 20, and add a 0. So the product of 25 times 8 is 200. Now, I want to do this exercise again, but I want to do it in a different way. And I'm going to clear the ink. We know a lot of timetables, but do we know the 25 timetables? Not really. But if you think carefully, what do we count that comes in a value of 25? Something that is round. You guessed? How about a quarter? We use quarters to pay things. We count quarters all the time. So let's think about quarters when you're multiplying times 25. And I'm gonna clone this. So I have 2 quarters, that's 50 cents. If I have 3 quarters, I'll have 75 cents. And if I have 4 quarters, I'll have $1. So how do you relate this with multiplication? Well, 25 times 1 is 25. 25 times 2 is 50, right? 25 times 3 is 75. And 25 times 4 is 100 pennies. So we can also multiply times 25 in an easier way. So let's think. If I have 4 quarters, I have 100 pennies, right? $1. If I have 8 quarters, so let's think. 4 quarters is $1. 8 quarters will be 4 more, which is $2. And how many pennies is then 200. Correct. So hopefully next time you have to multiply times 25, you're not going to be afraid. Let's go with the next way to solve problems using mental math. And this one is using addition. Using addition is the same as using distributive property or expanded form, in where we're going to get the 6, we're going to leave it alone, and the 321, we're going to use it as an addition of some numbers. So with what numbers? Remember expanded form, 300 plus 20 plus 1. We're adding the numbers. That will get 321. And then distributive property. The number outside the parentheses will have to go and multiply each one of the numbers inside the parentheses. So it looks like this. 6 times 300 in parentheses plus 6 times 20 plus 6 times 1. And then in the next line, we're going to solve each parenthesis individually. 6 times 300, basic facts, 6 times 3 is 18, and add 2 zeros, so that's 1,800, plus 6 times 20, 6 times 2 is 12, and add 1 0, that's 120, plus 6 times 1 is 6. Now I'm adding the numbers. I can do that in my head. 1,800 plus 100, that's 1,900. Then 20 plus 6 is 1,926. So do you see, very easily I can find the product of those two numbers. There is one more strategy that is very similar to the addition, but it involves subtraction. So look at these two numbers. The 300 is very close to which number? Hopefully you see that it's close to 400, right? So how can we write 399 in relationship to 400? Well, I think we can say that 399 is 400 minus 1. You see it? 400 minus 1 is 399. Now we use the same way that we did distributive property. Multiply the 7 times each one of the numbers inside the parentheses. So I start with 7 times 400 in parentheses, but this time we have to put the sign minus because we're subtracting. Minus, and then we multiply the other numbers. 7 times 1, and then we solve the parentheses. 7 times 400, basic facts, 7 times 4 is 28, and add 2 zeros, so that's 2,800, minus 7 times 1 is 7. So then we take 7 away from 2,800, that is 2,793. So we did this multiplication is 2,793. If you don't understand very well, you can watch the video again. Don't you worry. The most important thing about these strategies is that you learn which one they're using. So for homework, I want you to tell me which product is shown here. Number 1, 3 times 400 plus 3 times 9. I want you to give me the factors that you think they're multiplying, and then I would like to know the product. Of course, I want you multiplying. And number 2, which two numbers could they be multiplying? And I want to know the product. Try it, please. Do your best, and tomorrow we'll see this in class. Thank you.